Good evening and welcome to Here's the Life with Zemrah and Ed at
Yes,
IntellectualRadio.com.
we're back.
And we're always so happy to be able to bring you some, what we say, food for thought. And want you to like me on Facebook, check out my music as is possible, is available on Pandora, on Spotify, on all of your streamings. Amazon. So make sure that you check it out. A lot of we have 4 songs that are original, and then we're doing Cruising by Smokey, a remix of that. And then What's Going On by
What
none other than Marvin Gaye.
what's going on?
This Sunday, the 29th, from 6 to 7, I am on Sundays at State Street. So my stage is on Madison and State. So if you get an opportunity, come and check me out. So we're going to jump right into it. And the day we decided to talk about sales and salespeople. I've been a salesperson for probably about 40 years in the insurance industry, working on the Medicare side. And I've always loved sales. Matter of fact, I even had gotten Ed into it, and he did it
Yeah, I've
for
been doing it
several
for like
years too.
42 years.
Yeah, 42, right. But I've been in sales forever. My mother used to say, even when I was young, I could sell. I was a little salesperson then. But when you're in sales, you have to really and truly, of course, love what you do, because you come in contact with so many different people. And we're just going to talk a little bit and give you some food for thought if you're a salesperson or thinking about sales, because we're entering into the annual enrollment of where sales is really, when it comes to the insurance side,
Insurance.
we're talking about annual AEP, which is annual enrollment. And so you got a lot of people that are going with group, which is usually associated with their jobs. And then you have, your senior market, or even those that are disabled, which in order to get Medicare, of course, your insurance people usually know that you have to be disabled for 24 consecutive months in order to get disability. So that's very, very important to know. But I want to just say, give you food for thought in the spirit of, what type of salesperson are you? Are you really, really, because you make a lot of sales? Because I used to make, right now I'm still in the Medicare side of things, but I do Medicare support. So I'm not selling. But you have to really look at, are you, because you're making a lot of sales and making a lot of money through the sales, because a lot of the commissions now have just really, really gone up with a lot of these companies. But are you really, like I said, you make a lot of money, you make a lot of sales, but are you making that money and making that sale with integrity? And I think that's very, very important, because like with me, I used to turn down a deal because if it was not going to benefit the client, then as far as I was concerned, it wasn't going to benefit me, because if I was going to do a disservice to the senior, or whoever I was, the person that had the Medicare, if I was going to do a disservice, and this is just really across the board with anything, because a lot of times salespeople think of the money, and they don't really and truly think of the consequences that it can bear on the person that they've sold it to. So if it's not going to do them a good service, then making the money meant nothing to me. I've
So,
walked away, and by the time I walk away, I'm walking out the door getting a phone call with maybe 2 or 3 referrals, because that is so important. And again, that's when how you're treating people, and that's what's very, very important. That's when you make your money, when you can walk away from a sale, and that's, like I said, on
so,
all levels.
so we're going to talk about the sales part, or the customer, how to recognize a good salesperson.
Just in general, as far as, are you a good
Oh,
salesperson?
so we're talking
Meaning,
sales force.
yeah, overall, and how, are you able to read your person?
Correct.
Do you know what do you know the needs of the person? Which do you have you done a needs
assessment.
assessment, which is always very important, even before you get there. Because right now, even with the Medicare side, you can't even really make appointments. And I think, I helped put Humana on the map when they just had Michael Reese. So when you really look at it, um, now, a lot of the salespeople have made it really bad because you can't do like we used to. We used to get out there and talk to people on the street and everything. You can't do any of that now. If the person does not give you permission to come to their home or make a designated appointment, you cannot stop and give nobody your card or any of that. You
Well,
have to be very careful. You have to sign.
the salespeople, through a lot of unscrupulous type practices, they made it hard for everybody. They're the ones that created that where you cannot just approach a person.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They made it very, very difficult in the way that they handle things. So now you have to sign a scope of appointment, and that has to be actual permission from the person that you're
Yeah, to
seeing.
keep the salespeople from hounding the seniors.
Right, and that's very important. So what we look at it, do you have you can have confidence, but do you really and truly respect others? You can have confidence in what you do, but if you're not really respecting those that you're seeing or delivering the service to, then to me that means
In other words, you're doing more talking than listening.
right, and that's very important to do. And then you want to make sure. Now, this is one of the things you always want to make sure, and that's what I'm really saying. You want to make sure that you do the right thing. Now, Ed, for example, um, how did you handle your customers? What do you think was one of your best traits when you would make an appointment, or how would you go about making your appointment? And then how did you feel that you handled your customer when you saw them?
Well, I used to always say I had 100% closing ratio, which means everyone I talked to who understood and listened to everything I said, they were my customers.
Now, how did you make them understand?
Because first I put them in a comfortable position and try not to sell them anything.
Right.
You don't sell a person something. I put it in a position so they will inquire and they will purchase what you have if they trust you. So I sell myself before I sell anything.
That's the key. You said it right there.
So after I made the person comfortable, once you have observed the person and got their mannerisms and got their to put away some of their fears and answer all their questions, you sell you before you try to sell any product. Now, once you sold you, and the person trusts you, then they will buy anything you have
That's right.
because they trust you. And people, very seldom you can find a salesperson that you really trust. I let them know right away that money is not the objective. It's not the objective for me to try to make a big sale so I can make some money.
That's right.
Because they're going to pay me anyway, a certain amount of money anyway. So my thing is to make sure that I have something for you that you can use that you need, not that you just want it. Because there are benefits and there are features. I said there are benefits to this package, and then there are features. Features are something to add on that you may not need, but a benefit is something that directly affects you in a positive way. So just because, like I used to tell them, if you got a car and it got spinning wheels on it, that may be a feature, but that's not a benefit. So it has to be something that's beneficial for you. So when I hit on something that's beneficial to you, that comes out through needs assessment conversation. Find out what you have and what you really need. And so therefore, everybody don't need the same thing. And maybe what I have, you don't need. And I let them make that plain and let them know that if I decide that this is something you cannot use, I will tell you, this is just ain't for you. You don't need this. What you have is perfectly fine.
Exactly. And keep that.
And keep it. And don't let anybody talk you out of it.
Right.
Because once you lose it, you can't get it back.
Right.
Like
At least you can't get it back until the following year,
to the following, you can change it.
unless you have a special
Yeah,
circumstances.
but if you have benefits coming from your job, you don't give that up. Unless it's just not good for you, unless it's just costing you too much money that you can get something for that for half the price or free.
Right.
Then you can give it up. But if it's something that you can only get one time and your job is paying for it, don't just give
Don't
that
let
up.
nobody
Don't let anybody
change that.
talk you out of it.
That's right.
And I tell them, anybody try to talk you out of it,
Call me.
call me and let me know, and I'll tell you what they're doing, and don't do it.
Now, I find that this is with, like we talked about real estate last week. So I mean, that's with any sales.
But actually, sales is sales.
Right,
It doesn't matter what you're selling. The product is secondary.
right,
The salesperson is the one the person he has to endear themselves to the client to let them know that he knows what he's doing. He's got their best interests at heart, and it ain't about just making a sale.
right,
It's about making sure you are happy with it because you're going to be my client a long time. And I don't want you to call me up a year or two later to tell me what a raw deal I gave you
right.
because that my only advertisement is word of mouth.
There you go.
How one client talks to the other client, tell them, you know what, he was straight by me. It worked out fine. Everything he said was true. That's your sale. That's my advertisement. And I'm not going to screw that up by
Right.
trying to lie to somebody or give them something they really don't need and can't afford, which is ridiculous.
So that's why you have to ask yourself, really, are you, when you are approaching someone, and this is for car salesmen, this is for insurance, for
Retail
car
sales, same
insurance.
thing.
I mean, just any
Retail,
type of
it's the
sales.
same way.
Are you really and truly just selling someone with the idea of making money, or are you selling something, selling a relationship? They are building a relationship,
Right.
which can be long term. Because if you're selling someone, you selling me a dress that don't fit. And I'm thinking that, well, it looks kind of
But
good.
how they
I'm
do?
thinking,
They pull it
but
in
it's
the
too
back and say you
tight,
look good.
and it's not really. But you said, well, I think that really looks
Nah,
good on you, Zemrah,
that's when they
or
hold it in the
whatever.
back.
Right. And I'm saying, well, I'm not sure. Girl, that dress look good on you. So if I'm blind or stupid or something, and I said, well, okay. And then I go and put it on, and I come on, you say, Zemrah, where are you going
What
in
were
that?
you
And one of
thinking?
my close girlfriends say, that would be a no. Then, but so then I'm not going to come back and let you sell me nothing else.
Yeah.
So what you do is you wind up messing up for future sales. And that's why it's important to be honest, to be sincere, and, be confident, but not arrogant in your sale. And then we're going to talk a little bit about signs that people have when you can detect if somebody's lying.
Oh,
Nose touching or scratching.
the power to
A lot of
define.
times when people are lying, they can't really have good eye contact. That's the first time you can always tell when somebody's lying, when they really can't look at you without turning to the side, and you can kind of tell they're a little nervous or whatever, but yet they have no idea that you looking at them and knowing this person is not got good eye contact at all. And don't be a good salesperson yourself that they trying to sell something to, and then they come off like that.
Well, that's
You
what
know the
you
difference.
see. We pick up that kind of stuff. The salespeople. So we talk
Absolutely.
to other salespeople, look at them, and go like, this person doesn't know what they doing.
Right. You got excessive eye fluttering, and you just
So,
you just all out the
I
box.
actually, me myself, I just be nice with people when I find out they really don't know what they're talking about, and I don't tell them I'm a salesperson. I just agree with everything they say. I say, oh, really? That sounds good, and I know they know what they're talking about. But that's when we're getting out the conversation.
Yeah.
But see, people understand 80% of all communication is nonverbal.
Yeah.
80% of your communication with anybody is nonverbal. It ain't what you say, it's what you do,
Yeah.
how you look doing it, how you move, how you walk, how your eyes, your expressions, your hands,
But it's
everything.
nothing like that eye contact. Eye
Right.
contact is important in everything you do.
And also, I used to do with there are different techniques in selling. There's mirroring. Mirroring is that you observe a person, you check their movements, and then you hear their voice. And then you try to talk to them in the cadence, in the volume in which they're speaking,
Hmm.
so they can actually hear you. So if I walk into place and I talk to an older guy and he's, from the south or something, he says, I said, "Hi, good morning, so how you doing?" "Oh, I reckon I'll be all right." And I said, "Well, yeah, me too." You have to set the person at ease immediately before you talk about any business or any product.
Oh, absolutely. But now when you say that, uh, do you think that people can think if you say it like that? Do you think someone would think that you're
No,
making fun of
you
them?
don't do it overtly.
Oh, well, that's what you just did,
Yeah,
Ed.
yeah, but I'm just trying to exaggerate a little bit.
Okay.
But you have to. What I'm saying is that you try to pace yourself with the person's cadence so that they can hear you. Everything is about making sure the person hears you. It ain't about you being right. It ain't about you trying to impress somebody with your knowledge of your product or your knowledge of the business. It's not about that. It's about, can I get this person to listen to what I'm saying? Not just hear me, are they listening? There's a difference.
Well, that's because that's when you get to your volume, your pitch, it's rhythm in your voice as far as the way you express yourself. Are you overly loud? Are you overly anxious? Are your tones? That's very important when
Exactly.
you're talking to someone. Are your tones, and people look at that. Your tones, your being. People feel that.
Right. Unfortunately, salespeople are some of the most highest paid people in the business. But there's no very few sales schools to teach you this.
Yes.
I had the benefit of attending some high level classes on sales that was paid for by certain corporations. And I just happened, Humana gave us free tickets. And I made sure I was there.
Oh yeah, we
The
went.
things they were talking about were deep.
Yeah.
I mean, these people had it down to a science, and they got paid a lot of money to teach other companies' sales forces.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of dollars just to take a class.
I mean, because that's very important. That I mean, if that's your company and 95% is the sales, and that's how you make your money, then that's important. That
Yeah,
there's people that represent the company, and this is just with any company
they
that
go,
there's sales. That's important. Is how your salespeople represent.
exactly. And
Yeah.
most salespeople don't have that professional training
Right.
to know that everything they do and everything they say and how they dress and everything goes along with trying to
Definitely how
closing a
you
sale.
dress and how you look and your complete body language. What you, again, it's just like we always say, what you put out is what you get back.
Exactly. Everything down
So
to
if you put
your
out a bad vibe, I'm gonna escort you out the door. Because I mean that's very it's the same thing even with phone sales.
right.
If someone calls you on the phone and the way they talk to you or whatever, it's the same thing even when you
Well,
look at collections. That's a good example.
they haven't learned that they need to introduce themselves first to
Yeah.
tell you what they're all about and why they're making the call
Yeah.
to keep you from actually cutting them off before you finish talking. Because some people shut down on you as soon as you use first couple of words you say. You still talking, but they haven't heard anything after that. All they know is I'm going to hang up as soon as the person gets to talking. And I'm out
No,
of
a lot of times you hang up before they
here.
finish talking.
Right.
But what I was going to say too is that, like, even salespeople, because they're salespeople, that's how they get paid on collections, and that's a lot of times why they don't do well because they come off very arrogant, they come off very rude and nasty. They have no empathy for you, and I think that is something that they need to be trained on when they make those calls about if someone owes something or whatever, and then you come off very rude, like you own the
Well,
company or whatever. I think that's bad.
they 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 wind up putting the customer on the defense immediately,
Right,
and that's something good salespeople don't do.
right.
Good salespeople, they always tell you who they are, how you doing, Mr. Jenkins. This is so and so from such and such. I just want to tell you about, remind you about your outstanding this, that, and the other
Hmm.
bill or whatever,
Hmm.
or stuff that we had been addressed before. Did you want to address that today? If not, you understand.
Yeah, or we'll make
Or I'll
arrangements.
call you back and see
What type of arrangements can be made?
anybody else. You owe us money.
Yeah, and then that's what make people don't want to pay. Which I mean, if you made the debt, you're always supposed to pay. But
Exactly.
it's always a deliverance and a posture on how you approach people. And if you do it in the right way, then you'll always make the money in sales.
And
It
the
just depends
object
on how you handle it.
the object's not for you to win. The object is for you to get results,
Right,
and not just to make it seem like you know what you're talking about, or making sure the person feel uneasy and browbeat them into doing anything. And
right.
people hate to be sold anything, or to be have their minds changed about something they've already decided they weren't going to do.
Yeah.
And if your argument is strong enough, they might say no just because uh,
They didn't like the way you approached it.
or they like the way you approach it, but you did it so well so they just can't see themselves making a decision right then when they really should, and they had no reason not to. I've had people do that to me too. Answered all their questions, solved all their problems. It was totally beneficial to them. But because it was so good, they could not bring themselves to buy right then. Now they might say, after you told them all this, you get frustrated, but you shouldn't get frustrated because they tell you, call me tomorrow.
Oh yeah, and
And
usually if
the
they say
best
call
thing to
you
do,
tomorrow.
and the best thing if you're not getting mad and go like, well, what's the day? How come you can't do it? Don't say that. Just say, okay, that's the way you feel. No problem. I'll call you tomorrow. But you make sure you call them the next day because that's when they're ready.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
they want to make sure that the decision is theirs and not yours.
And that's what they're supposed to be able to do. That's
Right.
very important
Right.
because that's where you get your referrals and all. Because they watch that. If you leave out of there upset, then it's nothing but about you.
You
If
should,
you've made the trip
you might
to
as well be
return, because usually when they tell you, let me think about it,
right. They're ready.
usually they will call you or. And if you call, you might call them and they might still say, you know what, I need a couple of more days or whatever. And if you say, no problem, the bottom line, and I've said that,
And you
the
don't
bottom
try
line
and pressure
is
them.
right. The bottom line is for you to be happy with the decision that you make. And 9 times out of 10, when
You
they
go
tell me to
back.
go back, it's a done deal. But it's all in your deliverance. It's all again in your approach, your posture, and the way that you approach.
Well, most people I know that when they call on the phone, they're just rude. They start off rude. They won't even start off by introducing us. They go like, "Hello, is Sherman there?" Like, or
No,
like,
somebody the other day
like they
called.
know you.
Like yes, a man called the other day and said, "Is Betty there?" And you said, "Is Betty here?" I said, "Man, if I had a wild man for a husband, boy, I would have probably had some serious issues."
So I say,
But they did that too.
I
Is
instructed.
Ed? Is Ed there?
Yeah, I instructed one guy on it, but after a while I stopped doing it. I just hang up on him because I used to. So let me explain to you, young man. Whenever you call here, don't ask for the person. Tell me who you are first and why you're calling, and then I might allow you to speak to that person. But if you come off like that, I'm not giving the phone to nobody. I'm hanging up on you. Goodbye.
Yeah,
So this it's all to a lack of training. See,
right.
we just happen to be professionals.
Yeah,
We've been doing this a long time. So there's a whole uh, area of training that people just don't know. It's instinctive to us
right.
because every moment that you're with a person, you're gauging everything. And other people, they're not even thinking about it. They're not even observing the moment.
Well, I think a lot of that, here we go again, is how you care. How you care, your empathy, your concern.
Right.
And if you don't have some of that, that makes for a bad
See,
salesperson
people
too.
don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Right.
The-
That's
the-
right. And
So,
empathy is real important.
so they have to have that. If you don't have that, then you don't have anything. And since sales represent everything, which means everything you do is a sale. You have to sell yourself to your boss, to the people at the store, to your mates, to the people. You have to sell yourself all the time. People are trying to sell themselves to you. If you go out on a date, you go to the club. People are always trying to sell you themselves.
Yeah.
They advertising. They all dressed up. They got costumes on. They got makeup on. They trying to sell themselves.
Yeah.
But most people don't know exactly how to do that. They just out practicing
Yeah.
and observing other people do it and think they know, but they have not studied the craft.
Yeah.
People who study it, they
They
know
know
it.
it.
You know it down. They got it down to because they're always watching your behavior. It's always if you're that observant, you're a person who's learned. Because most people don't know because they're not observant. They're
Right.
not
Well,
learning,
again, that's because there's not a real
and,
concern or care.
and they haven't learned anything new in 20 years.
Yeah. So I just wanted to read a little bit about empathy. Empathy is the ability of one person to put themselves into the mindset of another, to try to understand that other person, to find, to understand that other person from their perspective. Some people have this ability to a greater extent than others, but the great news is that empathy can be learned.
That's
So
true. That's
it's
true.
very
That's
important. I
true.
really, really, I think that that is so important to be able to put yourself in another person's
But be
shoes.
willing to do
And a
it.
lot right,
The thing is, do you have the will to do it? Because to do it might cause you a certain amount of pain.
right,
It would avoid pain with a passion. They don't want to feel what you feel because it feels like you had some pain. In order for me to understand you, I understand. I have to understand that, and I want to put myself in that position.
right.
But you have to walk at least walk a mile in my shoes before you get to know that person.
That's right.
That's what it means.
Right. But a lot of people, they don't, they really don't have it. You place your undivided attention on what a person is saying, watch their body language, and do not move around or keep glancing at your phone screen or wristwatch, because a lot of people do that too. Solid eye contact on your part will reaffirm to the other person that you've tuned into what they are telling you.
Right.
So it's important for you to listen. Listen is an art. When you
It
listen to a
truly is.
person,
That's why you got 2 ears and one mouth.
yeah,
So listen is really an art.
it is.
That's how
It's an
you.
art.
And even if you're hearing things that you heard 1,000 times before, the same thing over and over again,
That's right.
keep listening because sooner or later that person's going to tell you something you never heard.
That's right.
Listen for that.
Or you might just hear. That's why some people can watch the same movie 3 4 times, because every time you watch that movie you're going to find something
Something
or
different.
hear something different. And it's just, that's just the way it is. So that's real important. And then hard work, in anything you always want to make sure that you put the work in. We always say that hard work don't hurt nobody. You got to always make sure that you do that, and that the person knows that you work hard, so that you can be able to bring them the information that they need.
Yeah, they can
It
tell
takes
that.
time and all to, we do. I mean, you do with anything that you perfect. It takes work.
Yeah, they can tell that by your knowledge of your product
That's it.
and your knowledge of the business and your knowledge of your market and the
That's
people
right.
that you're talking to.
That's right.
And your knowledge of that. Once people find out you actually know what you're talking about, then they start to buy into you.
That's right.
And once they bought you, they buy whatever you take.
That's right. Well, we're here at IntellectualRadio.com, and we're going to take a quick pause for the cause and listen to a song from Love is Possible. Love is possible when you believe that it is. Love is possible when you know that it is. When you feel like there's no hope for love, you can make your dreams come true. If you know just what to do, you just think. Love is possible when you believe that you're free. Love is possible when you embrace it with ease. Everything you want is yours for the asking. Love is possible when you believe that it is. Don't give in, and don't you doubt. Believe me, you'll get just what you put out. When you know that love is on your mind, love is possible. Love is possible. We're back at IntellectualRadio.com with Here's the Life with Ed and Zemrah. We're talking
Yes.
about salespeople and sales techniques and the importance of being a good um, person that listens and builds a rapport. Building rapport is very, very important. When you
Definitely.
build a rapport with your customer,
Before you do anything else.
before you do anything else, you want to make that customer feel very, very comfortable. You want to implement a plan that will fit into whatever they're doing, whatever their budget. Like with me, if I'm talking with someone to do a video for me or to uh, even produce my CD or whatever. You have to learn to work with people and build around their budget. That's another reason. I mean, another way that you work with the person to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that they're comfortable with whatever you're bringing to them too.
Because you got to click.
Yeah.
You got to click.
Now
You
that's the key.
got
You
to
got
be
to
in the
click.
same spirit.
You got to be on the same page, and the person that you're dealing with has to know that um, you have them in mind as
Right.
far as what's going to be comfortable for them and comfortable even for their pocket. Because when we talk about sales, we are talking about money too. So when you talk about money, you got to make sure that whatever you're doing, that they can afford it. You don't
Yeah.
want to come all, because I noticed even since this pandemic, boy, some of the prices that people come up with, it's like they trying to make up for the whole last year and a half. And you know that that's not what it would have been before the pandemic. And
It,
people have really and truly did a lot of that. And it's just
it's
crazy.
gotten out of hand.
Yeah, it's really gotten out of hand. And so when that happens, you're not going to get anything out of it. Hey, people are not going to do business with you because they got sense enough to know now this person is doing exportation. It just
A
doesn't
little
make
price
sense.
gouging.
Yeah. So let me
Mm-hmm.
just keep it moving, and then you look up where you normally get one or two estimates. You looking up nine, you get trying to get five or six
Yeah.
because you're trying to work it where it's comfortable for your pocket. Because let's face it, everybody had to struggle during the pandemic. So
Exactly.
during that period, you want to feel like somebody's going to come back and take advantage. No.
And so there's nothing wrong really getting two or three estimates
Anyway,
from anywhere.
yeah,
Or it doesn't matter who it is. You don't have to make excuses for it either. Just say, that sounds good. Let me get back with you. And then you
right,
call two or three people and see what the range is and see uh, what the common price is.
right. But that's how you build
What's
long-term relationships with people.
what's average and what's not. And if the person that you're dealing with is truthful and forthright, coming
Right,
with their product and their service, and you can test it, and always test it. Never assume that a person is telling you the truth just because they said it.
right.
Check with somebody else. Check with the other. Matter of fact, go online and see what they're
Well,
rating.
that's what you've told your clients to do,
I
do
tell them
too.
all the time. I tell them, I say, I see, don't trust me. Get a couple estimates for, because it's the only way to really appreciate me or anybody that's really good at something is to see what the average is and see what other people do and what they're gonna do for that.
Right.
If I'm gonna do that and more for the same price or less, then that lets you know.
And
But
you
you
know
don't.
it's going to be quality
Right, it's
deliverance.
gonna be quality. First of all, it's gotta be quality. I
Yeah,
don't know how long something takes, how much it costs. If it's not quality, you're not gonna appreciate it.
right,
Period. So therefore, I don't care if it does take longer or costs more money, but as long as the person is happy at the end of it, that's what really counts. Because that's the only thing that's gonna last.
yes.
What you do and the job that you did is gonna be there long after you're gone,
Hmm.
and that's what they're gonna look at.
And you build a long-term, that's how you build a long-term relationship. And again, if I'm doing something with you and then I need to I want to refer you to somebody, come and ask me if I know somebody that does. Well, if you've been out of the box or whatever, I'm not going to refer you to nobody and have
Right.
me look in a certain kind of way. So I think that's very important. If you want to build a long-term relationship, business relationship with someone, you make sure that what you deliver to people, that you deliver it with integrity, honesty, and concern and care. And when you do that with them in mind, then you're going to always get repeated customers.
Right, because you can't afford $1 million worth of advertising on TV. So therefore,
Like you said,
your word is your bond.
that's right.
And whatever you do, try to uphold your word because your word is who you are,
There it is.
and
It
and
shows your
and
character.
that's all that you have.
That's right.
So try and do. You have to go out of your way to do it, just like raising children. Everything you have to make an effort. You can't do it all the time when it's comfortable for you.
Yeah.
Sometimes the things you need to do are most uncomfortable. Do them anyway.
Well, that should be when you talk about character and integrity, that should come natural. Now, for a lot of people, or some people, I should say, it's not always. No, it
Mm,
isn't always the case.
it's not always come
Yeah,
natural either.
but you want it. That's why we're kind of talking this, because it's important. And I guess it was kind of on my heart to talk about this because, and I guess it was kind of on my heart to talk about this because annual enrollment is around the corner. And there's so many seniors that are getting thousands of calls now. We even get a lot of robocalls. And you have to be very, very conscious and very steadfast on some of the calls that you get because people are scamming. So you have to make sure that whoever is calling you to set an appointment, are they supposed to be calling to set this appointment? Because the robocalls, you're not supposed to be making sure that you don't give out any information over the phone. And I mean, seniors are just my heart. So I always like to make sure, because I've worked with them for so long, I always like to make sure that they don't wind up getting a raw deal because they get so many different schemes going on
Hmm.
until it is just
So if
unbelievable.
they really want to know what's going on, or they need to call somebody they trust, somebody who's
There you
been in the
go.
business and knows the business and has the interest at heart, they need to call Zemrah.
Yeah. Now, one of the things too that I always would say, make sure that when you let someone come to your home or whatever, and nowadays you do have to sign that in the insurance business. You have to sign a scope of an appointment. But one of the
That's just
things too,
permission to see the person.
right. So you want to make sure that you have someone there with you that's present for the appointment. I think that's very important because, again, it is so much stuff happening with people that claim to be salespeople and they really, really don't necessarily have to be.
And so,
Or if they do come, they're coming for the idea of being able to make a sale, but whether it will benefit you or not is a whole nother
some of them are
ball game.
burglars.
And that's true.
They
You
come
have
in
to
and
be very,
rob
very
people.
careful for that because they'll be talking to you while someone else, they'll be talking to you at the front door while somebody else is trying to get in the back door.
Right.
So you do have to be mindful of all of that. But if you're a salesperson, make sure that you ground yourself with integrity, good character, and just good behavior when it comes to approaching people and talking to people and selling people, whatever you're selling, because you always want to make sure that you treat people, again, like we always say, treat people like you want to be treated. And you don't lose by doing that. If anything, you wind up. You wind up being prosperous for doing that. You'll get
In
blessed
the
for
long
doing
run,
that.
you will be
You will.
successful.
It just works like that. That's just the law of sales is, how you treat people, what you put out, you get back. And it might not come back, but way down the line,
But it's
good
coming.
or bad,
But it's
but it's
coming.
coming. So you want to make sure that you're always on the right path and a good path, and you'll just be blessed for it.
Like
So
my
that's
son,
our food for thought
like
in
my
for our
son said, that was
salespeople.
good food. That was a nice snack.
Yeah,
That was good.
yeah.
That's good,
So
girl.
we want to just make sure that you tune in to us every Tuesday. We're here from 6 to 7. If we don't have a whole lot to talk about, then it won't be 6 to 7. We want to make sure that we
Just as
don't
long as you get
bore.
something
We don't
tasty to
just
eat.
talk to be talking. There you go again as far as sales. We don't want to sell you, outsell you. We want to sell you in a good way and let you know
What do we
that
call that? Talk yourself out of the sale.
yeah, so we want to make sure that you tune in and that you benefit from the things that we have to say. Keep in mind that we have Miss Pamela Wilkes,
Come in next week.
the relationship guru. She's with us the first Tuesday of every month, talking about relationships, and we've got some good stuff coming up when she comes back for September. Which can you believe that we after Labor Day
It's
we
all
talk about Merry
downhill.
Christmas,
Hmm.
Happy New Year. So
So get out your pens and pencils, write down your questions, and tune in.
yeah, and so we've got Dr. Yvonne Gilly Wallace coming back to talk about the Veteran Initiative, and they are doing some wonderful things. They just had a major food pickup this past Saturday. at Mount Carmel,
Mm-hmm.
and for veterans. And then they're doing some female things for the female veterans. So they're just doing some great, great things. We have Anita and the Bobbits coming back talking about money. And then I am going to try and get the lovely um, Dr. Coleman back to talk about money because she always talks
Yeah, how she
about the
doing?
money. She's good. She's
Mm.
always good. So we want to make sure that we keep giving you some good information. Again, food for thought that you can, um, mile
Mm.
over, think over.
Something you can munch on.
Yeah, and hope it benefits you as always. I am Zemrah.
And I am Ed.
We're here at IntellectualRadio.com, which we just love our producers, Earl Winfrey and Wanda, who always provide such a wonderful platform for us to be able to share the things that we as a people feel. And we're so grateful for that. And we want to give Earl, his birthday was last
Hey,
Thursday.
happy birthday,
We want to
Earl.
say, happy, happy, happy birthday. Hope you had a wonderful birthday. And we love you so. We thank you so for being just who you are. Happy birthday just to
Mm.
Earl.